when the Atlanta Hawks made the trade for DeJounte Murray, sending 3 first-round picks unprotected to the San Antonio Spurs on top of even more assets, the Hawks were hoping that they were going to pair Trae Young with a backcourt mate that they can build a solid championship foundation around. Now the Hawks are sitting into a place where heading into this offseason, they could be trying to find trade partners for one of the 2 point guards and have now become a perfect example of why you should be protective over your first round picks. What's going on? My name is Haize. This is Views from the Bleachers presented by Players Choice. And I want to talk about this. The Atlanta Hawks sit in a place where they have 2 pieces in their backcourt that clearly just don't work together. Trae Young, who's recently been out with injury, who has since been cleared to return. But over that time that he's been out, DeJounte Murray has not only played much better at the lead guard position and not off ball, but also the defense of the Atlanta Hawks has improved quite a bit over that amount of time. Now, the Hawks are still not by any stretch of the imagination this amazing team without Trae Young. I would never say that, but it just really highlights the fact that when teams make trades, hoping to find pieces together, how you have to be more selective over that. The Hawks now sit in a place where they have a franchise that does not want to pay the luxury tax. They're right up against that, and they're going to be forced to make a considerable move, maybe even trading one of these players for less than what the market value would tell you that they're worth, just to put themselves in a position to not only make their roster make more sense, but also to maintain and stay under that luxury tax. And they are one of the first candidates that would look at that you have to look at and say, hey, they are not going to pay that second tax apron for this version of what that team is. And that's where the Hawks sit in an interesting place right now, heading into this offseason, having to decide whether they're going to move Trae Young or move DeJounte Murray. And per the recent buzz from Mark Stein is that they are focused, I should say, on moving one of these young pieces in this offseason come hell or high water. And while the partnership between Trae Young and DeJounte Murray never really worked out the way that the Atlanta Hawks hoped that it worked out, when you look at it going 41-41 over last season, so far this season they are now locked in to a play-in spot. They're going to have a less than 500 record. It just shows that it just did not work out. You have to be really focused on what type of team that you're trying to build. And the Hawks were hoping that, that DeJounte Murray, who at that point with the San Antonio Spurs had shown a little bit of ability to play off ball with DeMar DeRozan being there, but then always kind of looked better when he was playing on the ball. They always were trying to hope that he was going to bring his defense and play off ball with that shooting that was going to help Trae Young and this team really kind of build around. And so the results of this union have just not been what the Atlanta Hawks want. And I will give the Hawks credit, right? They've recognized that. They've even recognized pieces on this team that they want to move forward with. And they are really open to moving most of this roster if it comes to just making this roster make some sense. And that's what it comes down to, man. The Hawks gave DeJounte Murray a 4-year, $120 million deal just last summer. And, when it comes down to it, they now are the latest team that are going to be looking to move off a player that they really just recently extended. Now, that could help them in the trade market when it comes down to it, right? And even DeJounte Murray's former team in the San Antonio Spurs are now listed as a possible destination, not only for Trae Young, but also for DeJounte Murray. It'll be interesting to see if that's the way that it ends up shaking out when they do decide to move on from one of these players, if they do end up on the Spurs, considering a trade with the Spurs is exactly what built this team together. But the Hawks are a cautionary tale for every NBA team, in my opinion, that when you're going to make a swing and include 3 unprotected first-round picks in that swing, no less, you have to make sure that you are building around the right pieces that can truly fit together. Trae Young has 3 more seasons on his contract after this year before he can have an early termination option in 2026-27. And DeJounte Murray still has a couple of years left on his deal as well. The team that theoretically trades for him, he's under contract into 2027-28, where he'll be making $30.7 million. So the Hawks now have to make a tough decision. Which one of these point guards is the point guard that they want to rock with, or is the market going to be the one that dictates which one of these guys they move so they can get the most back for whichever player that it is? And each player brings their own positives and negatives as being the point guard going forward for that team. But it's going to be a tough decision to make. And the Atlanta Hawks, who were a team that was hopeful that they were going to be contending not just for play-in spots, but trying to make it to the Eastern Conference Finals, have now been a team that has just been disappointed by the version of the team that they gave up so many assets to try to build. But let me know what you guys think down below. Do you think that the Atlanta Hawks, even though it did not work out, were right for trying to take a swing at it? Or do you think, like me, that more teams are going to look at deals like the Hawks and other teams have made and be a little bit more protective over their first round picks going forward into the future. Make sure you guys let us know that and sound off down below. But thank you guys so much for tuning in to another episode of Views from the Bleachers presented by Player's Choice. My name is Haize. If you guys want to follow me, you can do so at CEO Haize, and I'll see you guys the next time I make a video. Peace, y'all.